broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us on episode 8 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I am Tom, and I'm here with Trevor and Damon. It feels like forever since I've talked to you guys. How you doing?
It's been a while.
Good. Wow.
I went to my month. Yeah, I went to my favorite park though in between there. And it's not Disney.
Even more so than Disney?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that then a little bit. So, but I'm back from vacation, and back from my Disney World vacation, and I'm excited to tell you guys all about it. I'm excited to tell our listeners all about it because it was a really, really good vacation. Lots of really cool things that we did while we were out there, and just excited to tell everybody about it. But since we've been away for a few weeks, man, there's a ton of stuff that has happened. Since we've been gone, and I mean, really, we had an episode 2 weeks ago, but just in the past 2 weeks, there's been a ton of news. And, I hopefully all of you have liked our Facebook page, but if you haven't, you can like our Facebook page and you can see all of the pictures and videos I took while on my trip. Took a lot of pictures of food and a lot of videos of shows and parades and all sorts of fun stuff. So, lots of good things on the Facebook page. If you haven't done that, check that out. But so we're going to talk a little bit about my trip and get into some other things like rumors, and there's some updates that are happening, and there's all sorts of fun things that are happening. So I'm kind of sad to be back, to be honest, because, I'm not in Disney anymore, but I'm happy to be talking to you guys and be talking to all the audience too. So
I think vacation depression is a real thing.
It is. It's totally a real thing.
I truly think it is.
That's why everyone, calls the Magical Express the Tragic Express or the Tragical Express, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you rode the Tragical Express back when you left.
I did not, because I guess the Tragical Express for me and for my wife is our car, just driving out. Because,
the long ride home.
Since we drive, yeah, it's just kind of driving out through the gates, and it's like, oh, we're gone, But lots of cool stuff. We did a lot of really neat things while we were there, and so feel free to interrupt me as we talk about these things. But I know, Damon, you're going to be staying at Boardwalk sometime soon.
I am. Yep.
August. Yeah, in August. That's right. How many days are you staying again?
We're staying 4 days, 3 nights, but only going to the park 2. I think something like that.
Okay. Well, Boardwalk was awesome, so I think you should be excited about Boardwalk for sure if you weren't already.
Yes, definitely.
Boardwalk is great, man. We walked in and we got like a corner room, which was awesome. So it seemed much bigger. It was a really, really nice sized room. I know they recently redid those a couple of years ago, but man, those are great rooms. We had a pool view, so we were looking at the main DVC pool, which was really, really nice. It's just a big room. It was a really nice size. And so that was really great, and we loved the theming of it too. It just felt like a lot of space, so that was really nice.
Now, how did you find just getting around the boardwalk, like as a resort? Was it easy to get to everything, or was it like?
Yeah,
Go ahead, sorry. Some of the resorts are really spread out and
Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. So I have to say the access to Epcot was fantastic, right? So like right after we checked in, we walked right into Epcot. We rope dropped Epcot. We went straight to Frozen, got on with no line whatsoever.
So how far is it though? So you're walking in at 5, 10, 15, like what do we have there?
Maybe a 10-minute walk if you walk slow.
Okay, which is one of the reasons why actually we were staying there, since we're out of our 2 days, we're going to Epcot one day. We want to make sure that kind of got there.
Yeah, and it's a quick walk. It's not far at all, and it brings you right into pretty much into the back of the World Showcase.
And you can you felt like you could have walked back and forth. Like I said, we're just going to the one park, but we don't want to stay all day. You could walk back and forth. You think it was fine?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Going back for lunch, take a little nap, something like that.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. I mean, we literally, we rope dropped Frozen. We waited for no time at all, right? Got right onto Frozen. And then right after that, we walked right to Soarin'. We walked right onto Soarin'. It was a 20-minute wait by the time we got to Soarin'. We did Soarin' twice in a row, pretty much, without fast passes.
Nice.
Which is kind of crazy. It's gotten a little bit better since they added the new theater, but I mean, just to even be able to do that is awesome. So, So that was great. That part of it was awesome. Really loved it. I would say the only downside I found about Boardwalk, and so there were a couple downsides, right? So the one night we spent at Hollywood Studios, it seemed like we looked for a bus back to our resort, but it seemed like they were only offering Friendship Boat back to the resort, and the Friendship Boat line was pretty much like hundreds of people long, right? And so we were like, forget that. so we basically walked back, which is not a short walk. It's maybe 20 minutes. It's not, I mean, I guess that's kind of a short walk, but when you've been walking around all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see why you wouldn't want to do that.
So the only downsides I really saw to staying at Boardwalk, there were just a couple things that I didn't really love, and I mentioned walking back from Hollywood Studios. That was not so fun after a day of walking. Of course, it was still really hot at night too, right? So it's not like it cooled down or anything. It was still hot and humid. So that wasn't the most fun thing. There might have been a bus available that I didn't know about, and but it wasn't listed on those boards where they have all the bus destinations and all that fun stuff. So I'm not really sure with that one. But the other thing I didn't really like is, and maybe I just got like spoiled staying at like Wilderness Lodge and even staying at Poly, was there was not really like a quick service type of restaurant like right there. There was one down on the boardwalk that you could use, but it wasn't nearly as like well put together, I felt like, as the other resorts. So those were my only two things that I really kind of didn't love.
So when you say a quick service, so in my head, being that I haven't been to Disney in a long time, the last place I stayed was at a value resort, and they had like those food courts where you could go get like all the standard stuff, pop and juice and all that kind of stuff. So you're talking like they didn't really have anything on that level where like you could just run down and grab breakfast or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so kind of, yeah. So I mean, they had it. It was just that it was kind of a long walk, and it wasn't like in the building. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like right there, and it was almost like it was in the opposite direction of the buses, right? So the boardwalk is obviously the boardwalk, but then to get to the bus, you have to walk the opposite way. It just wasn't really convenient more than anything. It was there, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't as full featured as some of the other ones I've seen, or as
I don't think it's convenient at Animal Kingdom either, though.
That's true. Although the last time when I stayed at Kidani, they had like little sandwiches and stuff at the gift shop right there in Kidani. But it wasn't. You're right. It wasn't like a full quick service. And for some reason we didn't really mind it when we stayed there. But at Boardwalk, it just felt. I don't know.
It's funny. I hated that about Animal Kingdom, so it'll be interesting to see how I feel about Boardwalk.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a deal breaker or anything. I mean, it wasn't like the worst.
Wait, have you been to Beach Club or no?
I've never stayed at Beach Club. I've always wanted to.
Okay, that's next on my list next year. But I was just curious how you would compare it to that. But okay.
Yeah, I mean that one's probably next on my list too, I'd say. But yeah, that would be my only downside. And to be honest, it was kind of nice to walk from Hollywood Studios back to the hotel, even though didn't really feel like walking. But it was a nice walk. It was a pretty walk,
Mm-hmm. So it sounds to me like, I guess for anybody who's thinking about it, is some of these resorts you just have to plan to have like extra snacks or whatever on hand, because you're not always, you kind of get used to assuming that there's a quick service or something nearby, right? So there's definitely a lesson learned there.
That's true. And I mean, it's not like there wasn't anything, right? There was like a little general store that was also on the boardwalk too, that had like cupcakes and sweets and stuff like that, and sodas and all that fun stuff. And then there was like a little DVC store in there too that had a couple little things here. It just, I don't know, it just felt like I had to go extra to get there. But that being said, boardwalk was awesome, really, really great. It was fun to stay there. It was neat atmosphere at night there, where it's all lit up, and there's like performers out there just randomly. Every time we saw a performer though, like we just missed it basically, right? So like they just started performing, and then we saw them, and by the time we got there they were pretty much already done. So we missed a bunch of those, but that's pretty cool. We also checked out the Abracadabra bar, which is really cool. So it's a magician. For those that don't know, it's a magician themed bar on the boardwalk. It's fairly new. They just kind of opened it last year. And it's a neat place. It's cool. The drinks are all themed, to different things, and there's some little things that happen in there. And if you're like one of those people that really loves details, this place is for you, because lots of little details, lots of little knickknacks all over the place. Comfy couches. We had a really nice server. I had a drink that was like, I think I took a picture of it and maybe posted on the Facebook page, but if I didn't, I will post it on there. But it was like neon blue colored because they actually used cotton candy, like liquid, the things they used to make cotton candy, the actual liquid they put into the drink. It was so sweet, but it was really good. So that was cool. Yeah, that was really cool. And then, we also ate at Trattoria al Forno right there on the boardwalk, which was actually really awesome. I don't know why no one ever talks about that restaurant, because that one was really, really good.
Wait, it's Italian food?
Italian food, yes, I know.
And it compared to Jersey how?
I thought it was really great. I mean, it's not like... It's definitely different than Via Napoli, right? So Via Napoli's more like pizza and like lasagna and stuff like that. This was more like... I'd say upscale kind of Italian. So like my wife had seared scallops and, they have a pretty huge wine selection there.
But how does it compare to eating Italian food in New Jersey?
I thought it compared pretty well. I thought it did. I mean, it was one of the best chicken parms I've ever had in my life. I'll say that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was good. I mean,
I don't believe you, but okay. It's going to be interesting. I will have to try it out now specifically. It was good. Disprove your theory, but okay.
I have to say too, there was a funny thing happened where and this is a totally off the wall story, but our waiter was awesome, really, really great waiter, really great with like the wine pairings and things like that. But we were joking around, and that I read a story in like Forbes about how like a lot of olive oil is not real olive oil, right? It's a lot of olive oil that even comes from Italy is not fully real olive oil. And I was joking about it, and the waiter just happened to come by, and he was like, "No, ours is real olive oil." And then went to prove it to us. He went and got the bottle and brought it to our table.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I was like, I believed you, man. You didn't have to bring it to the table, but. Super, super friendly waiter there. Great service, great food, open atmosphere. It was really, I liked it a lot. But so that was staying at Boardwalk was great. We really loved it. We did hit up the pool once, believe it or not, which I'm sure a lot of people would gasp at that. But we're park people,
Yeah, I was gonna say you were really out for the parks this time too, and obviously with Pandora and everything too, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we spend so much time in the parks that we will always say, like, at the beginning of every vacation, yeah, let's swim at this one. Let's make sure we hit the pool, and then we just never do. Like, it almost never happens, and it's funny because we really wanted to check the pool out this time, and it just didn't work out just based on that. So,
I'll have a pool report, not to worry.
Yeah. Well, because you'll be there without park tickets, right? So
for at least a day. Yeah, I think we're gonna try to do the top of the world firework thingy since we don't have tickets to Magic Kingdom. I think we're going to do that one day. And I mean, you start to think about so many things there to do at Disney. I mean, you have to go to Disney Springs. You want to try to get our free watch. Wait, did you get your free watch?
Yeah, I didn't because I completely forgot.
Oh.
We walked right by.
So hold on a second. So you didn't go in the pool at Boardwalk, right? You didn't get your free watch. You didn't obviously ride any of the rides we told you to ride. So,
well, we could talk about that in a moment.
we'll get around to that.
We'll get around to that.
I don't know. This vacation, listen, I don't feel like that you vacationed the way that you should have. But that's just my personal opinion.
To be totally honest, this was a pretty weird one for us, actually. It was way different than any one we've done in the past. Yeah, really weird. To be totally honest. But no, we were at Disney Springs for dinner. We went to Homecoming at Disney Springs, which was really, really great. Amazing. But I kind of understand why they had to change the name of Disney Springs, because if you were used to Downtown Disney, it is a totally different place. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but man, that place is crazy. It's amazing.
Here's the question, though. Do you like it better or worse? Because I've been there too, so now I'm curious to what your thought.
It's not a better or worse thing for me. It's a really upscale shopping center now. Like, it almost makes you uncomfortable at how nice it is if you're like, a middle class human being like me. But so, I thought I will say this: it's much prettier.
Who buys something in those shops, though?
What's that?
Who really buys anything in those shops?
I wonder that too. Every time I go to a place like that, like we have outlet malls near me, and I'll go to the outlet, and I don't even know. I've never even heard of half the places that are there. Like, I don't even, and that was kind of how I felt at Disney Springs too. I'm like,
it's very high end stuff.
It's very
without a doubt. I just can't imagine, besides athletes and like you said, very rich people going in there and kind of having an impulse buy on something that's there.
Oh, I totally agree, and There's a lot of really fancy stores there.
But
and, yeah.
it is nice, right? So there's something
really
to be
nice.
said. So because it's bigger now, it definitely separates the people. I think for me, I always felt that downtown Disney had a little bit of a... Oh, I don't know what the good word to use would be, but a little bit of a fraternity-type atmosphere that I didn't necessarily care for.
Okay.
Especially in the food area.
What was it called?
Pleasure
used to
Island.
Be that Pleasure Island. Yeah,
Pleasure
I can
Island.
see that.
So now I feel like it's more comfortable for me. So I would say, a little bit of the opposite. So for me, it feels more comfortable. It's interesting to look at things. You know what else I like about it? Again, Tom and myself are from New Jersey, so maybe he can relate. You've ever been to Short Hills Mall?
Oh, yeah. It definitely reminds me of that.
So the thing about it is that when you walk into a mall like that, you feel a little bit uncomfortable because, hey, I want to look at that $5,000 watch. Well, you're in Disney, so it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. So maybe there's things that you wouldn't necessarily ask for out of the case to look, touch, see, handle, feel, but you're in Disney. You know it's okay. There's something nice to be said about that.
That's true, and it is. I mean, not to say that downtown Disney wasn't nice, but it is much nicer. It's like well put together, and the buildings are beautiful, and the way they themed it is beautiful. So overall, it's really nice.
But you know what? It's hot over there on that new side.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no shade anywhere. So.
Yeah, so it's really hot over there. That's the one thing I would say that I wasn't a fan of. You're walking down that, the stone path, and the stone's light, the sun's blaring on you. It does get a little warm over there.
It does. Did you go to the Coke store when you were there, the big Coke place?
I don't think you... So I went when it was... Was it there when they just opened it? Because I don't remember that.
No, that came up... Was it last year? I think it was...
So I was there when the new Disney Springs opened, like pretty much when it opened. So I don't know if the store was there, but I don't remember it, so I'm going to say it was not.
Well, it was like a phase thing, right? So there
Yeah.
was,
I think
things
so.
opening. But so I did check that out.
Is there free Coke? Because if there's not free Coke, I don't care.
Not
No.
free. Although more reasonable than I expected, I would say. So like we went up to like the rooftop where they have like a drink bar and they've got like hundreds of different drinks you can try. Kind of like Cool Zone on steroids.
But it's not
Damon.
free.
It's not
Yeah,
free, right?
it's-
But so
no.
one of the things they have is like a sampler where you do 16 samples from around the world.
Kind of like the free stuff over in Epcot?
Yes, except it's different. There's different
But
ones
it's
in
not
there.
free.
No.
You see the theme here, right?
Yes, it's true. It's not free. It was
Yep.
16 decent sized cups. They were like Dixie cups, but filled to the top, basically. And it was for 16 of them. It was like $8 or $9. So it wasn't outrageous. I thought it was going to be worse than it was. And it's, I mean, when you look at it, I don't know if I shared that picture or not, but when you actually look at it, it's like, wow. That's
What did
a
they
lot of
have that
drinks.
was so different, though?
There were a couple different ones that were different. They still had Beverly in there, but they had, just some other random ones like from Brazil, from oh gosh, I can't remember all of them. There's some African ones in there. There was all sorts of different ones. It was, and there was maybe 2 or 3 that were the same as Cool Zone, I'd say. So it was cool. That was a fun thing to check out.
So they're just trying to, offer some different stuff, and then that way you also don't get the uncomfortable stares from the cast members when you've been hanging out in there for an hour.
In Cool Zone?
Drinks.
You mean in Cool Zone? You get uncomfortable stares?
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming if you hang out in there long enough, I'm sure anybody would be like, okay, why are you here still? Right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I've been in there for quite a while, I have to say. It's so packed all the time. I couldn't imagine that they would even know.
Well,
I mean,
a quick story about Cool Zone, too, that's pretty funny. But, yeah, so the Coke store is pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. And
is it like the one in Atlanta or no? Like
I
World
haven't
of-
been to the one in Atlanta,
No.
but I think it's probably it's maybe as comparable.
Gotcha.
From what I've heard, it's comparable. But they actually do have an alcoholic beverage that's made of Beverly. It's called Beverly's Revenge, which is pretty funny. I did not have that, just so you know.
Probably like a gin and tonic sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly
what it-
what's in it. I'm sure we could look it up online, but it's I wasn't even going to bother. I'll put it that way. But so my funny story about Cool Zone really quickly is I met up with a college friend while we were at Epcot, and he was drinking around the world. So, we didn't partake, but we caught him about halfway through. And he was pretty far gone at that point, and by the time he got to like the 10th country, we told him this is a guy that knows zero about Disney. He said the admission price to Epcot was his cover charge, basically. Like, he wasn't planning on going on any rides, on doing anything but drinking.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and I was like, man, and we were with a friend too that is another college friend that's, you know, as obsessed as we are. So she was like, seriously, like nothing. So we made him go on Spaceship Earth, but before we did that, we were like, oh man, I was like, you got to try this thing over in the cool zone. It's called Beverly. It's like the greatest thing ever. You're gonna love it so much. And
then everybody gets their cameras out.
Pretty much, yeah. We basically just tricked him into trying Beverly. But the best part was, like, he didn't. I don't know if it was because he was a little, you know, gone, but I like basically ran up to the machine, got the cup, filled it, and I was like, here, try it. Like, so he couldn't read the label, you know, because the label says that it's bitter. So, and his face was just the greatest. So I told him he got Disney hazed, is what it. So yeah, so he had his first experience with that. So that's, but anyway, so we'll go back to talking about some other things here. So Boardwalk was great, really awesome. You know, a lot of fun. Then we did our stay at Poly, and you know, we did the split stay, which was actually great.
So how was your so the difference from going from Boardwalk to Poly, was it like a huge difference, or were you just kind of like
as far as like room size goes, or like the transition, or
I mean like the whole transition process, like how like
super easy.
Really?
Couldn't have been easier. Honestly, we just called Bell Services. They came up, they took all of our stuff. You know, they filled out the tag like they normally do. We told them that it needed to go to Poly, and yeah, that was it. It was, and so I had to drive my car over there, obviously. So we drove my car over there. They do say it takes a couple hours, so I don't think they actually start taking them over until later in the afternoon. So don't expect to be able to get your stuff right away. And truthfully, we could have just packed up our car again, but we kind of wanted to see how it was doing it outside of that, right? So, but it was super, super easy to get over there. Yeah, I mean, no problems at all. The person that checked me into Poly is probably the nicest cast member I've ever met in my entire life. The nicest lady. So sweet. We were in Tokelau. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but that's where we were.
that is if you're looking at the map, it's the one on the left, because there's three. There's two to the right of the map, and one that is the furthest left on the map.
Oh yeah. That's a great description, and it's also like a 2-second walk from the bus stop too, which is awesome. Like that was amazing. And so we got there in our room. So I did not realize beforehand, and I've done a lot of research about this kind of stuff, but I did not realize that Poly has by far the biggest studios of any of the resorts.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. The room was huge. And then later I looked it up, and it was like, wow, it's like 100 square feet bigger than like everything. It had 2 bathrooms, which was also kind of crazy to me. So one of them just had like a stand-up shower and a sink. It was really nice. And then the other one was like the other full bathroom with the tub and you know, toilet and all that stuff, and with another sink in there. But I was like, man, this is kind of cool.
Wait, you did the 1 bedroom?
No, we just did a studio. Studio has 2 bathrooms in it, which is really odd.
And yeah, it sleeps 5 and has the kitchenette.
Yep.
No washer and dryer though.
No washer and dryer on that one, no. But yeah, no.
I don't even remember. You know, it's funny. We were there last year. I don't even remember what we had. I mean, we obviously had. We probably had a studio as well. I do remember some that 2 bathrooms, but I don't think we had a 1 bedroom.
Yeah,
it didn't impress me that much. Again, I wasn't a fan, so.
We were pretty impressed by the rooms, just the size of them, and we really liked the bathrooms were really nice. That shower was really nice, really, nice tile and all that fun stuff. And we just couldn't believe how big the rooms were. We were just kind of blown away by that, because we had just come from Boardwalk and we're like, man, these rooms are huge. And then we get to Poly and we're like, wow, this room's even more huge. So it was just one of those things. We loved the easy access to the monorail, easy access to, the buses were right there. We took the boat one time. I think it was because it was right after Happily Ever After, and the monorails were a nightmare. So we were like, let's take the boat. There's no one else taking the boat. So so that was pretty easy. But the split stay was great. It was fun. Poly was awesome. Had some Tonga toast. I think I posted a picture of that. Tonga toast was great.
Yeah, I saw you seem to enjoy that a lot.
I did. I kind of regret not getting just one for my wife and I to share, because they are huge. So, although I have to say the one thing I was disappointed with was the cupcake selection at the quick service there. I always like when they have like the special cupcakes. Like at Wilderness Lodge, they had a s'mores one for a while, and they didn't really have any special cupcakes, which kind of bummed me out. But obviously, not a deal breaker. It's cupcakes.
Yeah, you can go over to Magic Kingdom if you really want cupcakes, right?
Yeah. I just like I think it's cool when they all have like some unique thing like that they have,
Right.
some unique kind of food that they have. So
Well, to be fair, you also have a Dole Whip stand there too.
it's also a fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. And Damon, I tried to find. I tried for both of you guys. I tried to find the skull mugs, couldn't find them.
Really?
I also forgot for a while, but
Total failure of a trip.
I know. I looked for them, and I think it was just
No watch, no skull mugs, no good rides.
We were very forgetful on this trip. I got to start making more lists.
That's actually how you know it's a good trip, though.
Yeah, for real. I mean, honestly, usually our trips are very, very planned and very structured. This trip, we kind of just went wild and did different things all the time. Like we were all over the place with stuff, which was kind of fun and different. And it was a lot different. And we got to spend not the night, but the nighttime stuff at Animal Kingdom was amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Trevor.
So this includes, or you're talking just the Animal Kingdom or Pandora?
All of it.
Or both, really?
Yeah, so all of it. And I'll get into Pandora in a sec here, but like the other nighttime stuff, I shared a couple pictures from it. The way they light it at night is amazing. It's beautiful, right? But the projection show they do in the Tree of Life is really, really, really cool. It's like beautiful and really, every time it's different and it's random and it's just amazing. And I loved Rivers of Light. I know the reviews have been kind of mixed on it. I thought it was fantastic. My wife thought it was fantastic. Both of us left there saying, how does anybody not like this show? Maybe because there's not like fire and explosions and fireworks, but I mean, I guess if you want to see those things, go see a Michael Bay movie or something, because it's just not, it's not that kind of show. But it's a beautiful, beautiful show. It's really well done. I almost felt like there was too much to look at. That would be like my only criticism. Is like I was looking like everywhere. I couldn't focus on one thing. There was so much going on. So. Yeah, so nighttime was pretty incredible there. We didn't get to do we kind of ran out of time to do like the safari at night, but that was something I really wanted to do. We kind of ran out of time, so unfortunately. But so Pandora, let's get into that. Unless there was something you wanted to ask me, Trevor. I thought
I'm so I guess my only concern with Pandora, all I'll ask is don't get into too crazy detail, because
no spoilers, I promise.
Yeah,
no spoilers for sure. So what I would say is, we've been like looking at pictures of this for a while. Walking into that place is, it almost like took our breath away just seeing it. Like the pictures don't do it justice at all. The enormity of it, like. Those floating rocks, they look pretty big in pictures and things like that, but when you or videos, but when you actually get there and you're standing and you're looking at them, you're like, wow, those are huge. And you understand how they're floating in the sky. Like, you can see the vines that are holding them up, but it's like I don't even know how this is working. It's amazing. It really is. We didn't spend a ton of time there. We spent a good amount of time. We could have spent a lot more time probably, but we had, other things going on. But Flight of Passage was amazing. Not going to ruin anything about that for anybody. It was really, it lives up to the hype completely. Definitely worth a fast pass for sure. It didn't break down while we were there, so that was good news. But it was really, really incredible. We did the fast pass line, did not wait at all for fast pass. So I've seen a lot of people posting on the groups asking like, how long have you waited in the fast pass line? And my answer is none. We waited maybe 5 minutes. So that wasn't bad.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say one thing I've heard. I didn't read into it too much, but I've actually heard some people say that. So even though it's crazy long to do the standby line right now, apparently the standby line has a whole bunch of interactive elements to it, like even more so than anything else in the parks, like Haunted Mansion or Peter Pan or any of those other rides that have interactive queues now. So I know you just fast passed it and got out of there, but I think that's something in the future to look at as well. And I might try it as well, depending on how things go with our trip. But yeah, just a side note.
I almost kind of wish we rope dropped it just so we could go through the queue. I know that sounds weird, but Like, because I've seen a lot of this stuff on the internet, and it just looks really, really cool. But you really don't get it with the Fast Pass line. You know, by the time you get up there, I mean, you kind of skip a lot of it. So you really just get right to almost where the entrance is of it. So,
Right.
But for those of you guys that are motion sick, it did not make me in any way queasy. It was very smooth. Didn't, you know, so I know, Damon, I think you've said before that Star Tours bothers you, but this is definitely not Star Tours.
And so for you, Tom, you're like, you don't like Star Tours, and you don't like anything that's like a simulator ride?
I love Star Tours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could ride Star Tours 100 times.
All right. I'm just trying to figure out if my wife would actually get on it or not. So
onto Pandora? Onto Flight of Passage?
Yeah.
I would say so, because it's almost like Soarin' in that it doesn't move that much. It's more of tricking your eyes, you know, with how the video syncs up with the movement. So it just feels like you're moving really fast when you really aren't, you know?
Right.
So hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler, but... yeah, so that was awesome. Really, really great. But, you know, I don't think it would bother anybody that's motion sick. We did River Journey. We actually got an extra Fast Pass for River Journey day of, which I know sounds crazy, but we literally just checked. We were in Epcot, and we checked to see if there was one available, because we were planning on going and just standing in line. Sure enough, there was just one available right for when we were going.
Oh, nice.
Which is awesome, right? So... so that was really, really great. And, you know, that ride was really pretty and beautiful and really a great ride. My only criticism would be the same criticism I've heard from a lot of people, and that's not that it doesn't have a drop or, like, it's not, you know, exciting or anything, because I've really loved the visuals of it. It was great. It was just really, really, really short. Like, it almost was like, oh, wait, it's over? Like, we just got on. Like, you know. So it was a really quick ride. That's my only downside on that one. But
wait, is it shorter than Frozen?
I don't find Frozen to be that short, but so
it was shorter than Frozen, is what you're saying?
I would say it's probably shorter than Frozen. Yeah. Because I mean, when I'm on Frozen, I don't feel like it's like, you know, I just got on and it's over already. Maybe because I don't know. It just feels short. It feels very quick. So. I don't know, but it was great. It was worth going on. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to be like, I have to go on every time I go, you know. But the land's amazing. It's beautiful. It's fully detailed. I mean, it's incredible. When we were there, the Banshees were still out. No Banshees available for anybody to buy. We were told that if you come early in the morning, so this is a pro tip for people, if you come early in the morning, they have small quantities early in the morning. So if you rope drop it, if you really want a Banshee, you need to rope drop it. So, yeah.
Rope dropping for a Banshee, wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, you know, they basically told me, yeah, they're on a shipping container on a ship on its way to America from China. So that's what their problem is they're just waiting for them to arrive, basically, and they just have a really limited supply that they're releasing little bits of it at a time. So yeah, so that's, you know, unfortunate for anybody that wants one of those. If you don't get their rope drop, you know, you're out of luck. So. And we were there one day at like 7 o'clock in the morning, like 7:30, and there was probably 100 or so people already there, even though the park didn't open that day. It opened at 8, so it wasn't that late. But, there was still a lot of people there at rope drop, so I would definitely get in there. So, but Pandora was great. I looking forward to both of you guys seeing it to see what your impressions of it are. But I mean, I was kind of blown away by the size of it, to be honest.
Wait, by the size of it, you mean the size of, like, the floating rocks, or the size of the park itself?
So the size, I would say, of the floating rocks, and just kind of like, I didn't think it was a small land. I know there's some people that are complaining that it's small. I don't think it's small.
What would you compare it to?
I mean, it's probably bigger than like Fantasyland. At
Wait,
Magic
the new
Kingdom.
Fantasyland?
Yeah, I would say it's
which
probably,
I think is super small.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely bigger than that. I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, it's probably a little bit bigger than Tomorrowland too, I'd say. I mean,
I would say like think about how big walking around any of those lands are. Like Frontierland, Adventureland is like they're not like it's not like crossing a football field or anything, right? Like
yeah, I mean I believe it's 12 acres large is the size of it. So yeah, it's not huge, but it didn't feel small to me. I'll say that. I felt like there was a lot more we could have explored that we didn't in the time that we spent there. So, if that makes sense. But no, I didn't feel like it was small at all. I just felt like the whole thing was really just big. Like it just felt big. So that was my thoughts on it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. The ride, like I said, the rides were great. Flight of Passage is definitely an instant classic for sure. So, couple other things, Hollywood Studios is just kind of a shell of itself.
but you didn't talk about Pandora food. Which is most important.
It's because we didn't eat the food there as much as we wanted to. My wife was jonesing for some.
I have to just log off. What happened, Tom?
My wife really wanted some Flame Tree barbecue, so we went over to Flame Tree barbecue. Because we hadn't had that in a little while. So
can't argue with Flame Tree.
That's.
I mean, you can't argue with Flame Tree, but. Listen, everyone just stay tuned. When I go to Pandora, I'm going to do it right. I'll take care of it for everybody.
Yeah. You know what, Damon, you need to talk to my wife about it. Was that Trevor? Sorry.
We'll have Damon on the live YouTube feed with...
exactly. I'll be live on Facebook.
With all the food. You'll order everything on the menu. And
now, that would be interesting. I could consider doing that.
Well, Damon, you need to talk to my wife about it, because she called the shot on that one. So I wanted to eat there. So
Yeah.
But I will say, though, we went to Flame Tree, and it was the first day they were doing mobile ordering there. So, and the line was crazy long, and they had people out there basically saying, use mobile ordering. And so I was like, okay. And so I had a problem at first where I had to force quit the app because it wasn't showing up on there, and then bring it back. And then it showed up. But I'll say mobile ordering was awesome. I'm glad they're rolling out into other places. It was really quick and easy to use. I had this... we really easily ordered. The one thing is that it doesn't, if you have like an AP discount, they're not doing any discounts through the app yet.
Yeah, that's the only thing that sucks about it right now. Especially like for us this year, we've got an AP and our DVC discount, and we can use neither.
Yeah, I'm assuming they'll fix that pretty soon. Like that they'll get moving on that. So I feel like it's probably a lower priority than just making sure the app works in general, right? So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, mobile ordering was awesome. Really, really great. They had a dedicated window that you just go and pick it up, and it was perfect. We didn't wait in line at all. We waited maybe 5 minutes and got our food, so it was great. But yeah, no, my wife did have one of the drinks. She did have one of the frozen drinks from over there that had like the little multicolored ball things in there, and she said that was amazing. So she did have that.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was actually looking at that myself. I was wondering if it was as good as the one that I had in Disneyland. So
it was. I mean, it was. She said it was really good. I didn't try any of it, but she said it was delicious. So. So we had at least a drink there, David. Just a little bit. We had something, just not any of the food. But anything else you guys want to know about Pandora that's not a spoiler before I move on from it?
No, I really don't want to hear anything else.
I didn't spoil anything for you, did I, Trevor? I thought
no,
it was
no,
pretty
you
vague.
didn't. Nothing that I didn't know already. But
okay,
yeah,
good.
I mean, yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys will be impressed when you actually go there because, like I said, I don't think the pictures do it justice at all. I think it's kind of amazing when you actually see it in person, how much bigger it is and how much, more detailed it is than you can really even imagine. So lots of really cool stuff there. So Hollywood Studios, like I was going to mention, so much construction, just so much construction going on at Disney in general right now. I couldn't believe the amount of construction going on the roads, everywhere. You can't even drive through the gates right now, the Where Dreams Come True gate. Where everybody takes a picture, so they have to have signs put out where say nobody stop in the middle of the road. You can't drive through there right now. So a lot of that is obviously due to the flyovers that they're building. The roads that they're making that road wider, first of all, and then they're building flyover ramps to go to like Contemporary and those other Magic Kingdom resorts, so you don't have to go through the gates anymore, which is a good thing.
Okay.
Which is definitely a good thing, but I mean the amount of construction going on, man, it is crazy. I couldn't believe the amount of construction. Also seeing some of the construction too, just for the gondolas too, from what I assume is the gondolas, like some spaces that they were clearing, by Hollywood Studios, by like where the buses drop off there, they were clearing a big spot there. I can only assume that's where the gondola station is going to be. I mean, no one's reported that, but I'm reporting that exclusively right now. How about that? We don't need to have journalistic integrity on here.
Yeah, we can guess. We're entitled to guess.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's the only place they can really put it. So, and we actually had guessed too that that's where at Epcot where they were going to put the station is right behind the International Gateway there, because there's just a huge amount of space there that's completely not used. So, and it actually seems like that's coming true, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, we saw the top of some of the rides. We actually saw the I always forget the name of these things. Maybe you guys can help me, Star Wars guys. The big walker things.
An AT-AT or an ATST?
Yeah. The AT-AT, yeah. So we saw that, that are going into that new ride, the dark ride that they're building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we saw those getting built. We saw the top of them. I actually took a picture of it, but it was just not a good picture. So, and then other than that, we really couldn't see any other construction at Toy Story, Land or anything like that. So, I wanted to mention a couple things about Fast Passes really quick, because we had a really good Fast Pass trip. So the one thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but and I don't know did you guys know that you can show up 5 minutes early to your scheduled time for a Fast Pass?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't eligible until.
We've actually shown up even before then. It just depends who's working, honestly.
Well. So let me qualify this. You can show up 5 minutes without them doing an exception.
Correct.
Yeah. So like if you show up 5 minutes early, it'll show up green. Like you're just going through. So I don't know if everybody knows that, because there's a lot of people that just stand around there waiting for like that minute to come. But it's 5 minutes early.
We've actually had a cast member tell us while we were doing that one day.
Oh, really?
Standing around waiting, like, you can come in, right?
Okay. But no, the time doesn't say so.
I actually noticed that the clocks that they have up there are set 5 minutes. I guess it would be slow, right? So they actually have the wrong time on those clocks up there too for 5 minutes early, which is really funny. But we had a really great Fast Pass trip, man. And I think I told you guys about this, but we had a day where we were at Epcot, and we were at Magic Kingdom, and we did Seven Dwarves, we did Big Thunder on Fast Pass, and something else on Fast Pass. I don't remember what it was. Those were our three initial ones that we did, right? And then we scheduled additional ones. So we right after we finished our first ones, we checked to see on the My Disney Experience app, we checked to see if there were any available, because we knew we were having dinner at Epcot. So it's like, let's see what's available at Epcot this afternoon, right? So it came up for extra Fast Passes at both Test Track and Soarin'. And I was like, what? Because those are usually like the top tier ones that are sold out, right? But no, there was multiple times available for both, right? So we took one at Test Track. We go on Test Track, and then the second we scanned into Test Track, we looked and see if there was one for Soarin'. Sure enough, there was one for Soarin', right? And so we did one for Soarin'. Then we were going back to Magic Kingdom that night to see Happily Ever After. So we started at Magic Kingdom, went to Epcot, and then we were going back to Magic Kingdom for Happily Ever After. So we were like, let's see if there's one for Big Thunder, like late at night, so we can ride it at night, because it's almost like a different ride at night. And sure enough, there was one for Big Thunder. So it's like we fast passed all the major rides on a Friday just because we looked, which is kind of awesome.
And this was in June too, right?
Yeah, it was busy.
Wow, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome, that's why I always encourage people. I've seen people throw different strategies out there on Facebook for Fast Passes. I think the best one is to do them all super early in the morning, as early as you can, and then as soon as you hit the last one, the third one, just look for the next one, and then look for the next one, and then look for the. I mean, we had 7 Fast Passes that day, in one day, and it's not like we're manipulating the system. That's just using the system the way it's intended. So. It was awesome. I couldn't believe that, especially with how busy it was. So, yeah, so that was great. And then we did a couple tours. Of course, we did the behind the scenes one at Animal Kingdom, which was a lot of fun. They have a baby elephant there. We got within like 10 feet of the baby elephant, which was pretty cool. They don't get you.
And this is an early morning tour, right?
We had to be there at like 7. So.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So we actually ended up Ubering over to the park, even though we probably could have taken a bus. We ended up Ubering, which was like $5. So,
yeah, I've heard lots of people say that. If you're doing anything outside of the regular park hours, you're definitely better off taking a cab or whatever, because you can't rely on buses or monorail or anything.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we had mostly good bus experiences while we were there, but there was one where we were on the bus and it stopped at like 4 other resorts on the way there. So it ended up like taken a lot of time. That was the only time it happened. But if that would have been the case for our tour, we would have literally missed our tour. So I was like, let's take all of the risk out of this and just pay $5 for an Uber, you know? So that was kind of the idea. But it was a great tour, really, really cool. We saw tons of animals. I've heard that tour is a little hit or miss as far as seeing animals or not. But we saw rhinos up close. We saw elephants up close. You know, all sorts of different things. We went to the nutrition center, which was really cool. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any pictures because it's backstage. So I have no pictures of any of it. So it's the only thing that stinks. But it is kind of funny to see the safari vehicles just parked in a parking lot and then driving onto the attraction in the morning. Which we did get to see. I mean, like, literally, they're just, you don't realize that they're actual, you know, vehicles, and like, literally, they just park them in a parking lot backstage at night, and so we're just driving by there, and then we see a couple of them, and they're limited to 8 miles per hour, so we actually got stuck on the road behind one of them, so which is pretty funny. So, but that tour was cool. The train tour was super cool. I loved that one.
Was this the one in Magic Kingdom?
Yes. So it was behind our steam trains. It's a lot of history, but we actually got to go back to where they like maintenance the trains and everything, which was pretty cool, which is actually right beneath the same place where they maintenance the monorails too. So it's the same building. It's literally the second floor is the monorails and the bottom floor is the trains. So, so that was pretty cool. Somebody passed out on my tour, so that was interesting because they had to call an ambulance, and yeah, that was an interesting moment, but a lot of fun regardless. So, and if you're into pin trading too, they gave us a special pin that you can only get from that tour too, which was pretty cool too. So, yeah,
neat.
Yeah,
you only did the two of them, right?
Well, we did the behind the scenes tour, which is the living with the land thing. That one was cool too. The only fun thing I found out on that tour is that most of the stuff they grow in that greenhouse that you see on the ride is just because they look cool. Like, they don't like, most of the stuff that they like that they grow to eat in the restaurants is like grown elsewhere.
I couldn't imagine that building would ever output enough food to feed people in Epcot, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and they only supply, like, I think she said like 10 restaurants or something like that. It's not like a ton. So I mean, but anything you eat that's at Sunshine, it's a tongue twister.
Sunshine Terrace.
Yeah, that's yes. Yeah. Oh, it's Sunshine Seasons. Wow, can't speak. Yeah. Anything you, yeah.
I'm gonna stop trying to say that now.
I know. I'm gonna give up too. But yeah. So when you eat stuff there, that's from the greenhouse too. So that one was cool. It was shorter and just kind of a quick one. So that was fun. So I did have the hand dipped corn dogs at Magic Kingdom, thanks to a tip from Trevor. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and
they were amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, we've had them at Disneyland, and I didn't get it either until somebody tipped me off on it, and I was like, okay, it's a corn dog, whatever, right? But as you saw, it's different from any other corn dog you've had, and yeah, they are really, really good.
I mean, it was awesome. It was so good, and they seemed to have figured out the issues that they were having with it too. So, because when they first started, they were kind of ugly, and they couldn't figure out how to do them correctly. Well, this time they did them right. So, and it just so happens it's at the same snack stand that has my Nutella waffles. So we got a Nutella waffle and we got a corn dog. So.
Part of a complete lunch.
Yes, it was. Damon, did you fall asleep? Are we putting you to sleep over here? Like,
No. I don't eat any of that stuff. That's not a big concern to me.
You don't eat corn dogs?
No, I don't eat beef. So.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's like the only beef I do eat too. So I'm with you.
My kids would probably like them, but it's a Magic Kingdom, right? So I've tuned myself out to anything that's not Epcot or related to my next trip. Magic Kingdom seems like it's so far away.
Oh,
we have like 30 episodes to talk about it before I have to go back to Magic Kingdom.
You say have to. I mean, want to, right?
Well, I think next year is going to be a 2-week trip.
Oh, I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Actually, not of my own choosing, though. Our friends are going to be going. I was just actually talking to them this weekend about our next trip because, again, for everyone that doesn't remember, or because maybe they just don't care, I'm going in August, cruise, 7-day Western Caribbean. I don't even remember. 7-day Disney cruise in October, and
one of the Caribbeans.
One of the Caribbeans, and then hopefully 2 weeks in June next year. You normally go a week, but what happened is I guess their daughter is going to have a volleyball tournament there. So they're staying for 2 weeks, and I just can't be outdone. So we said, all right, well, then we'll stay 2 weeks too. So I think that's what's going to happen. So I think next year will be annual passes, because I think once you get to that 2 week time frame, it's just not worth to not do them at that point.
Well, you know what you should do is, since you already paid some money for the tickets for this year's trip, you should just upgrade them to annual passes for next year's trip, because it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, but it's a lot of output of money. The cruise. If anyone hasn't looked up the price of a Disney cruise, you'll understand why I unfortunately have to say no to that as a solution. It's so expensive for a Disney cruise that it's very difficult to then try to upgrade my passes this year all in that same little brief time period. I mean, our cruise is butting up against like $10,000.
Woo.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm going to hold off on annual passes. Actually, the reason why we're only doing 2 days is because we had to use our points, and we're like, all right, well, what should we do? Let's just go and not go at all. And if Pandora wasn't opening, we probably wouldn't have gone to any of the parks, which would have been an interesting vacation, to tell you the truth. I would have probably enjoyed that. But since Pandora opened, we said, all right, let's go to Pandora. And then we're like, yeah, well, you know what? Epcot's kind of nice, and let's just do 2. So that's kind of how that all came about.
So you are definitely doing Epcot this time, though, too, right?
Yeah, the kids are paying for it, but yeah. So I kind of said to them, I said, you want to do 1 day at Pandora, or if you want to go to Epcot, you guys can pay the extra upcharge. And they're like, yeah, we kind of want to go to Epcot. So I was like, okay. So I had them pay the upcharge. But yeah, so we're doing 1 day at Epcot, no park hopper, no nothing, just bullying out, Epcot nice. And Animal Kingdom.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's great. So yeah, no, that sounds like you have a good trip set up. But I was just throwing it out there just in case, because we did that 1 year where we ended up using our annual passes. We went 3 times and ended up saving a whole lot of money, because all we had to pay for was food and to get there. So that was a pretty cheap one when we did it that way, where we upgraded.
Relatively cheap, let's say.
Yeah, cheaper than normal. I have to admit though, I was kind of mad when the new discount came out for annual passes, because I missed it. I probably could have spent less money, but regardless, we'll get to that in a few minutes here. So. But a couple things really quickly that I just want to add in. So Magic Band 2.0, I know this is a weird thing to add in, but I noticed that the Magic Bands are now kind of smaller and thinner, but maybe a little bit wider. I noticed they are much easier to scan than the original version. So I'm sure some of you out there listening have gone with the original Magic Bands and paid for dinner with your Magic Band, and your waitress or waiter has come over and tried to scan the thing and struggled with it. The new ones, we literally every time was perfect on the first shot. So that was cool. And then the Express Bus. I kind of told you guys this kind of funny story that I'll go really quickly with. We decided we were going to do the Express Bus after a lot of deliberation, and the first day we went to go and use it at the front of Epcot, because we were going to go over to Magic Kingdom, and we get up there and she scans our bands, and I say, yeah, I want to, purchase it. And I was like, okay, so we're good. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, I didn't put my PIN in or anything. How did I purchase it? And she's like, no, you're good. And so I was like, okay. So we ended up being the only people on that particular bus. So it was basically, we had a bus to ourselves, which was really, really great. Plus you get to drive through the backstage area of Epcot, and literally you get to drive, the bus drives underneath the test track, which is pretty cool too. So if you're like a backstage person, definitely a cool place to a cool service to do the Express Bus. We tried to use it a second time about 3 days into our trip, so maybe it was like a couple days after that. And we get up there and they scan our bands, and he's like, "You don't have it. You don't have Magic, the Express Bus." And I was like, "We don't." I thought we did. And so it turned out we actually didn't pay for it. They, for some reason, the person doing it didn't know how to process that, I guess, or something. And so we got an Express Bus ride for free. But at that point, a couple days into the trip, we were like, now it's not worth it. Like, if we would have done it from the beginning, it would have been worth it. But at that point, we only have like 3 days left. So we were like, let's not buy it now. But so that was my brief experience with the Express Bus. But definitely worth it if you're a big park hopper. Like, if you like to park hop, definitely for you. Get it. So, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it seems like the kind of thing, honestly, even for myself, I don't think I'm going to use it on this next trip, because I don't see us park hopping enough in a single day. Like, I mean, people say, you can do 4 parks in one day, but yeah, that's not everybody's trip, right?
Yeah, and that's, it's definitely not for everybody. That's for sure. It's for people that like to park hop a lot and like to go from park to park and, or try to do the 4 parks in a day like you're talking about. It's not for everybody, for sure. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about for my trip too is we did like an attraction farewell tour. I can't talk today. I mean, it's maybe because we've been off for a couple weeks here, but what I mean by that is, there's a bunch of things that probably won't be there the next time we get there, especially if some of these Epcot rumors that we're going to talk about come true. So, Journey into Imagination and Ellen's Energy Adventure, Illuminations. All those things at Epcot, we're kind of scared that they're going to be, and 3 Caballeros even, those that might not be there. So, we did all of those, and just a couple things like that where we were like, okay, these might not be here anymore the next time we come, so we should probably do them just to make sure we get them done. So, unfortunately, Illuminations usually, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, but it's been around for 16 years at this point. I mean, it's. If I'm spoiling it for you, it's your fault. At this point, you should have seen it, right?
Yeah, it's due for an upgrade for sure.
It is, and it is. And so, but at the end, normally, like the world opens up, and then fireworks and fire come out of the middle. For some reason, it didn't happen when we saw the show, so that was kind of disappointing. But it is what it is. So anyway, so that was my trip. It was awesome. It was great. I'm excited for you guys to go and kind of see some of the same things that I was seeing, and kind of see what your opinions are on everything. But great trip overall. Had some really good meals at Le Cellier. Was one of our favorites. I know some people don't love it, but it is one of our favorites. Some of the best service we got was from our Canadian waitress, Trevor. So,
well, yeah, I mean they're Canadian,
obviously, right?
Got to represent.
Yeah, she got a very nice tip from us because she was very, very sweet and very nice, and she gave us the recipe to the beer cheese soup. Which is one of our favorite things, and we said it was one of our favorite things, and then next thing we know, she comes out with the recipe card for it, which, by the way, I just shared on our Facebook page. So those of you that are listening right now that don't follow us on Facebook, now's a good time to like us because that one is out there. So if you love that soup with their pretzel bread at Canada, tear that up. Go on Facebook and make that soup for yourself. So before we get into any of the other things here, I really quickly want to make a couple corrections from the last 2 shows. We had a couple people email us, and we appreciate those emails. Thank you for that. So Mike emailed us and reminds us that Beach Club villas are actually closer to Epcot than Boardwalk is. So we might have said on one of the shows that Boardwalk villas were the closest to Epcot. Technically, Beach Club is a little bit closer. So there's that. We had talked a little bit about walking through Epcot to catch the monorail to go to Magic Kingdom. We didn't really think about the fact that maybe not everybody could do that if they didn't have park hoppers or if they didn't have, if they didn't have annual passes. So, that was a good point that was brought up that we didn't really think about at the time. So just wanted to bring that up and, just let you guys know about that. And then, truthfully, he also brought up too that it's not really the most effective way to get to Magic Kingdom. And that is true, right? So walking all the way through Epcot and then wanting to catch a monorail and then taking the monorail to the Travel and Transportation Center and then getting from there to Magic Kingdom, it'd probably take you a while. But, for me, I think, a lot of our conversation was about the fun of riding the monorail and things like that. So,
yeah.
but I totally understand his point. Yeah, totally understand his point. And so then also Brandon from Colorado was asking what walking a reservation is. And I wanted to bring this up really quickly because I think it's a good quick DVC topic here. And that's, because this is what I kind of did with mine. Not really completely walking it, but a little bit where... and I don't know if either one of you guys have done this, but there was no availability at Boardwalk, so I I explained this a little bit on the podcast that we did before I left, where I kind of booked like 3 days at a time, kind of 3 days and then 1 day and then 2 days, and that's kind of what that is reserving a couple days while you're still waitlisting the other ones, and then as the days pop up, getting one at a time. So that's kind of what that is, just to answer your question, Brandon. So I've talked a lot, and I want, Damon and Trevor to get in here. So, but just to move into our normal topics, I wanted to talk about the annual pass discount that literally just came out a couple days ago, because I know Trevor took advantage of this and had a lot to say about it. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, there's actually 2 different promotions that have come up through DVC. One is the annual pass, which my understanding is they've never done any kind of discount on the Platinum Pass before. And what they've done is they've actually made the Platinum Pass the same price as the Gold Pass, which Gold Pass is usually the cheapest one, and it's reserved for Florida residents. And the thing with the Gold Pass is that it usually has, excuse me, usually has blackout dates, and you don't get access to the water parks or anything. And so they went and gave us the Gold Pass, or they gave us the Platinum Pass for the same price as the Gold Pass, which, so for myself, I took advantage of this because I was looking at, I wasn't going during any blackout dates, but I wanted to get the annual pass because we're going in September and then in next May. But we also wanted water park access because we're planning to do the water parks because we haven't been there in a long time. And initially the price of the Gold Pass and the water parks annual pass combined was still cheaper than the Platinum Pass. And then they released this deal. And so I actually went back and I corrected it with them. And so I got my money back on the water parks pass, which saved me about $400 US on my trip right there, which, being Canadian, that actually converted to about $520, which is a pretty big deal.
That's a pretty substantial amount.
Yeah, and we and actually to that end, since we did that, we decided to take that money and reinvest it back into the trip by booking the Star Wars Galactic Dessert Party at Hollywood Studios. So yeah, it was definitely like a fantastic discount, and yeah, it just means that we got a little bit more money freed up that we can use for other things here.
So had you activated your pass already, or
no?
Okay, so if you've already activated, you probably can't. Can you not get any money back if you've already used it? I'm guessing.
Yeah. So what happened was when I phoned and talked to them, a lot of people, they've been able to just go to guest services. And so if you've already used your Gold Pass, like if you bought a pass already, you can go and guest services will just bump it up to a Platinum Pass. The dangerous thing in my case was if we had used our water park passes, then we would have been stuck with those, because basically once you activate the pass, they're not going to, you've got a year from when it starts. They're not going to change it or anything. Because we hadn't activated anything yet, they actually just canceled my order entirely. So I got all my money back, and then they put that money towards the Platinum Pass at the same cost as the Gold Pass. So, but yeah, for anybody else out there, definitely look into this, because I know with the Gold Pass, it works out to, I think if you're going 10 days or longer throughout 365 days of the year, so through a full year, if you're planning on staying there more than 10 days, that pass will save you a bunch of money. But for anything less than that, or well, I guess the other, or yeah, for the other deal is if you're looking at like a 7-day trip, they've got that deal where you can do 5 days, or sorry, I got backwards. 7 days for the cost of 5 days.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's a good deal too.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
That, like I said, this is a first, I guess, even for DVC doing the Platinum Passes. So that's pretty exciting that we're getting to take advantage of this on our first go around.
Yeah, really, for sure. That is really nice. Thanks for sharing that. That's really great. Yeah, so that one's out there. So those of you that are DVC members, go ahead and check that out and make sure you you can, like you said, would you call guest services? I'm guessing guest relations.
So I actually phoned ticketing services, which is so it's not DVC. Not DVC member services. It's if you buy any tickets from Disney, check in your email, and there's actually a number specific for ticketing services that they can help you out with that. Gotcha.
Okay, cool. That's great. So just to move on here, a couple of things that have been announced over the past couple of days, really randomly, and I just wanted to mention this because I thought it was weird. and I would love to know what you guys thought about it. What about Chef Mickey's is randomly it's going to be relocated temporarily due to
relocated to never come back again is where it should be relocated to.
Why do you hate Chef Mickey's?
Worst experience ever at Disney.
Really?
Chef
It's
Mickey's.
kind of
It's expensive.
And dated.
It is expensive.
Food is horrible, and it's packed.
It is packed.
But Mickey.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I can see Mickey a lot of other places.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
true.
That's the problem that I have with it. I thought it was way too expensive for what it was. Again, it could relocate itself far, far away, and I would be A-okay with that.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about this, and so basically for those of you that haven't seen that news, is that it's Chef Mickey's is getting relocated temporarily due to unplanned maintenance, which who knows what that means. I mean, what could that possibly be? I don't know. But it's going to be closed from 7/28 to 8/13. And so I don't know. Part of Chef Mickey's for me, besides Mickey and all the characters and everything, is the monorail going overhead and just kind of being in that lobby of Contemporary. So I don't know. I'd probably cancel my reservation if it was going to get moved.
I don't even know if that part of it even made any difference. I mean, it was nice, but I mean, I could go over there and sit in the lobby for $400 less and be A-okay. I don't know. If my thought is that I've heard a lot of complaints about it. I wonder if they're just trying to revamp it because I mean, a lot of people do complain after the fact. It's one of those things where you do it and you think it's going to be this, whatever it's going to be, and then after you're kind of like, man, I spent a lot of money and wow, it really wasn't that good. I'm wondering if it was something where there were just complaints about it. I don't know. That would be my take. Again, it was, we went there saying, oh, wow, Chef Mickey's. And then after we left, we're like, oh, man, that was a real big waste of money. So I don't know. Maybe they're revamping it.
Maybe.
They should.
Yeah, it just seems kind of like, if they were going to revamp it, maybe they do it slowly. It almost seems like this is an emergency type of situation,
Yeah.
Like they found like mold or something,
Like a burst pipe or something. I don't know.
You don't say mold, Tom. That's not good. No one wants to hear that.
I hope it's not mold, but let's be honest. The Contemporary's pretty old at this point. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've eaten there twice. We had breakfast there and dinner there. It's buffet food. I thought breakfast was better than dinner, but I love.
I would probably
buffets.
agree with that. It's very difficult to mess up pancakes.
Yeah, Mickey waffles and bacon and sausage and eggs. I mean, you can't go wrong.
That's true. You know what you're getting with the breakfast, right? You're going there for Mickey waffles and a character to come to your table and take pictures and have fun and all that kind of stuff. And I do agree with you about I know it's not for everybody, but appreciating, just an atmosphere thing and having something like the monorail going overhead and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what kind of makes it unique. And you're absolutely right, Damon, is that I could go to many other character breakfasts or character meals and I can meet Mickey. I can meet a lot of those characters. So yeah, if they told me, well, it's just going out of that building, then yeah, I would rather look at one of the other experiences because there's nothing really drawing me to it at that point.
Yeah, I do feel like it loses a little bit of its charm and its, appeal just based on that. I mean, it's only for 2 weeks, but, I just thought it was really weird. just really weird. Like, why all of a sudden, I mean, I'd probably be not happy if I were somebody that had a reservation during those times, especially since it is difficult to get
you should consider yourself lucky if that happens to you, in my opinion.
I didn't think it was that bad. I think any...
So you know what it is, though, Tom?
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going to say, is that you're going with 2 people. How much
Sure.
does it really cost you? Go with 9 people.
Yeah, that's expensive.
And you're going to feel that maybe it's not as worth it as I thought. See, that's, again, from my standpoint, is my kids now at 13, 11, and 7, right? I don't even remember. The 13 and the 11-year-old are like adults now, right? So...
Anything
it's
over
expensive.
10 and over is considered an adult at Disney.
Yeah, so it gets to be really expensive to do some of those things. And I think that's where I start to look at the, price per and what I'm getting. And I just don't think that from Chef Mickey that it's worth that, sort of price exchange. There's a lot of other places that I'd rather go for that same price. And I just didn't care for the food. I thought it was very average.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, all the buffets at Disney are really expensive. I mean, even when
but there's some that the food's a little different, right? And you
Sure.
say, okay, listen, I don't, I mean, there's a lot of mac and cheese and chicken nuggets, right? So, but if there's something a little different, see, I think that's the knock for me on Chef Mickey is what's there that's a go-to, right? What's at Chef Mickey that you really have to have that you're not going to have somewhere else?
Yeah, and like if you go to like the beer garden in Germany, the buffet's much different there, right? Because you're talking about German food, and or like even the one at Animal Kingdom Lodge, which the name is escaping me at the moment.
Sauna or Boma?
Boma. Yeah, they do a breakfast buffet there, and the breakfast buffet there is like out of this world. It's like completely different. It's super super healthy stuff, which actually doesn't really appeal to me. I'm on vacation. I want some bacon. You know what I'm saying? So, but it is some different stuff there. But I know what you're saying. I totally understand that. So now we're gonna touch the third rail and and talk about Pirates of the Caribbean. Hooray!
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun conversation. So, so for those that don't know, if you're familiar with the Pirates ride, basically there's a scene in there where there's a woman who is one of the wenches there that is being auctioned off to the some of the pirates there, and so Disney is changing that scene and making it so that the redhead's actually going to be a pirate now. So the redhead is still going to be in the scene. The character's still going to be there. They're not getting rid of her completely, but obviously her role in it is going to change. Now the pirates are going to be selling property, just like goods and things like that, as opposed to a wife, and the redhead is going to have I believe I read that she's going to have a gun and be helping sell those goods. So this kind of threw the Disney World into a very large tizzy, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean it's just I think it's kind of the nail in the coffin for them, making the ride a little more
politically correct, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to find a nice way to say it, but yeah, it's I mean, when you look at that part of the ride, like I've always sat in that ride and I'm always kind of analyzing it, and I'm going, wow, this part it definitely reflects something that probably would have happened back in that time. And I mean, to me, it's not offensive to like it represented something that happened. But I guess there are kids on the ride and they don't want to have that depiction as something okay. So I see why they're doing it, and I'm sure that there's some people that probably gave feedback on it that they were disturbed by it or whatever. But yeah, it sucks because it's a classic scene and all that, but I at least they're keeping it sort of intact, I guess you could say. But
I kind of see it both ways too, right? Like,
yeah,
I could give an argument honestly both ways. So it's very difficult to really have an opinion. While it did, made a lot of people upset for both, different reasons. I can see the reasoning on both sides. So for me, so what? Listen, that ride is, again, even though I would love all rides to stay forever and never change, and them to continue to do Brer Rabbit until the end of time, that ride was going to change anyway, right? So
yeah,
do I care? No. Do I think it's a good thing? Yeah, okay. But I'd rather that they put their money, time, and overall Imagineer expertise somewhere else. Yeah, but can't always get what we want. So I'm okay with this either way. I don't really have a strong opinion on it either way, honestly.
Well, and also to that point as well is, we always talk about, keeping rides fresh and updated and everything. This really is probably the best way to go about keeping something classic, but also updating it and giving us a reason to go back and see it. Because, regardless of whether you like or hate the change that they're making to it, people are going to go get on that ride now. People that had, dismissed it or said they were tired of it. And I don't know who these people are because I'll never get tired of it, but I'm sure there's someone out there who may be tired of this ride, and I feel sorry for them if they are. But
exactly.
But I mean, yeah,
it's one of those rides they keep updating though too. I mean, like how many things have they added and subtracted over the years to it anyway?
You know what I'm actually more mad about that ride is Jack Sparrow. I don't need to see him. That sounds horrible, but that's the way I feel.
See,
I don't need to
mind
see him. I
Jack
think that
Sparrow.
ruined the ride. It was never like that ride when it was built wasn't about Jack Sparrow, and I just feel like I don't know that does all that I don't know.
But
I don't like that.
It's completing
honestly.
the loop though, because they started with the ride, which spawned the movie, and then they couldn't.
You know what it feels like? It feels like it's a total like product placement, which is what I don't like about it. Right? Like it feels like it's a forced product placement. That's just my opinion.
Well, I kind of almost feel like this changes like that too, right? It's where it's like, okay, we want to sell merchandise and continue to have people watch the Pirates movies, right? Then maybe we should take this part out of it. I'm kind of the opinion with you guys. I'm kind of in the same place with it where, I'm going to ride it regardless, right? So either way, I'm still going to go on it. It's not going to change my experience all that much. I don't feel like it's a scene that's like completely necessary to the storyline. I guess in my mind, if I said to somebody, that was upset about it leaving, if I said to you, okay, let's say the scene instead has always been them selling goods and not selling a wife, right? And if I said to you, oh, they're going to change it, what change would you like it to be? What would you like it to be changed to? I don't think anybody would go, well, I'd love for it to be changed to like a scene where they sell a bride off. You know what I mean? It's just more one of those weird things. It's like, if it wasn't there in the first place, then I don't think people would be upset about it not being there.
And really, it's like, I don't know if anybody remembers, but a little bit past that was the scene where originally it was the pirates chasing the women around the pillars and everything, right? And then they took them and, they just swapped them, and suddenly it was PC, right?
I almost wonder if, like, no one even... I mean, I'm sure, like, some super Disney fans noticed that, but I would be, like, the casual person riding that ride that, would probably not even notice that happened. I would think. But
it also it doesn't really look wrong when they did that either, right? Like you said, the scene, it's not even like as jarring as Damon sees Jack Sparrow in the ride. This is actually less jarring because it's still the same scene. It's just they're selling off goods. They're still an auction, but fundamentally, it's still like it just flows in with the ride. So. Yeah, it'll be something new and interesting to look out for those of us that are obsessed with it, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the thing for me. Like I said, I mean, if they left it in, fine. If they took it out, fine too. I'm still gonna go on it. It's not gonna affect how I ride it. It's one scene in an entire ride. It's not gonna be that big of a deal for me. Like, it's like if I was on like Spaceship Earth and they took out the scene at the end with the girl with the afro and the yellow stockings. Like, I'm not gonna like revolt if that happens. It is what it is. So it doesn't bother me too much. I know a lot of people are upset about it, but I would assume that all the people that are upset about it are still going to write it anyway, right?
Well, and so one other thing that's happened too with this is that they added the on-ride photo as well, right?
Yeah. So they actually brought back the talking skull. So.
Oh, that's right. You guys haven't had that forever, have you?
No. So it hasn't gone for quite a while. And
sorry, it's been at Disneyland forever. I assumed.
When my complaint, so we did Pirates the first day that they had the on-ride photo there, for what that's worth. But, and pretty much they put the skull back there just so they could hide the camera for the picture. I guess my only thing about it is it's not taking a picture, like it takes a picture before you go down the drop, right? So, It's not like during the drop or at the bottom of the drop. Like, so all it is just people just sitting in a boat, really, And
that's what I was going to say is that, I think it might win the award for the least interesting ride photo op. Like, if it wasn't for Memory Maker, I don't think anyone would ever actually get this photo.
That's the thing. Like, I applaud Disney for adding more on-ride photos to make memory, because every time they do that, they make that more valuable, right? So they make it a more valuable thing every time they add one of those. But like, we looked at our picture and it's just us like looking up at the skull, like, hey skull, like there's I mean, we know the drop's about to happen, but it's not like there's apprehension on our faces or anything. So
yeah, there's no action to it, right? Like you said, it's literally just like walking into a room and taking a picture of people that are standing there.
Yep, pretty much. So, I mean, it was a funny change, but yeah. So I mean, overall, it sounds like we're kind of all on the same page with this. It's one scene. It's it's not the end of the world. I understand why they're doing it. I understand also why people are upset too. Kind of like you were saying, Damon. I see both sides of it. There's always going to be the side of, well, this is how the designers wanted it. This was one of the last rides that Walt worked on before he died. So the thought there is to never change any of that stuff, and I get that. I 100% get that. So, but like I said, for me, I also know that Walt Disney was fond of saying that the parks would never be finished, right? And so in my mind, that means that things are going to change sometimes. They're going to get updated. I'm never one to get caught up in the updates and the changes, and I think change is always a good thing. Let's not say always, but often a good thing. So,
one last bit of food for thought on that. If Walt Disney was alive today, do you think he would have ripped Pirates of the Caribbean out already?
I don't know. You mean like just completely gotten rid of it?
Like said, okay, we've had enough, and he had something new he wanted to put in there? Would everyone be okay if it was Walt saying that?
See, you know what the problem is that you're talking before. This is why I don't ever think of, what would Walt do, because you're talking about a time pre-Mega Million movies, right? I don't know what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
So if you take it outside of that and say forget about the movie, I think it's a different discussion than we could possibly have with the movie making so much money.
Well, no, because he banked on Sleeping Beauty when he initially built the castle.
Mm-hmm.
So he still had that same mentality in mind, is that he was banking on the movie being famous enough that it was going to draw people to the attraction. So.
Yeah, but I think from a money standpoint, right? So, like Sleeping Beauty at that time, I don't know if we're talking in the same amount of money as we would be talking about a summer blockbuster these days.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if Walt would have even had any say. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. Even though there's basically very few Disneys that are even involved with the company anymore, right? So like, if Walt were still around, would he have like one of those honorary board things? Like, would he not have that much control anymore? What would happen? I mean,
but Trevor's right. Would Pirates of the Caribbean even be there? Right, yeah. And that leads itself to a very interesting discussion. Is if Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't even there, would there ever have been a movie, right?
That's a good question, too.
We could butterfly effect this totally and probably have 10 episodes on that, but it does bring up an interesting discussion. What would Disney look like?
Yeah, and I just put that out there as a thought for all the people who get upset about it, is, think about how things could have gone differently, right?
Yeah. It's completely interesting. I mean,
I think we'd have a whole series. I think that may be what we need to talk about on our other podcast that we end up doing. the weekly one that we fill in. Because you know what? That's interesting, because it would be something that is not time sensitive. So I don't know. I think we hold that discussion. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. It's going to be its own special episode.
Yeah,
what would Walt do?
Just to reference that, we've been asked a couple times by, it's many times now to do a weekly podcast, and if we do that, we obviously can't do the same length that we do these, because as you guys all know, we can't keep it to under an hour ever. So probably more like a 15-20 minute type of deal, and so those will be the kind of ones we do. But still a work in progress, so don't look for that one anytime soon yet. But we're thinking about it. So, but no, I think that's a really great point. I often hesitate, to. With the what would Walt do things, because it's like, who knows what he would have done. He could have done a lot of things, he was, a lot of decisions were made after Epcot wouldn't exist like it does now if Walt had lived to see it, right? He wanted that to be a real city. So,
yeah.
There's a lot of things we probably wouldn't have if he would have lived longer.
But we could have had some really awesome stuff, too.
That's also true, too, right? We could have had a lot of really, really cool stuff, too. So it's just kind of sad, none of his kids or anything, kind of took the torch and continued it,
Money.
Roy kind of did.
Money.
Roy kind of, Roy
I think once they turned themselves into a conglomerate, right, it changed a lot of things, too. Right? It's not about the park. Where does the money come from? It's not about the park, really. It's about the movies, honestly.
Well, and let's be honest, too. Could him and his brother really have run the size company that it is now? I don't know. Right?
We have to stop, though. This is a whole nother podcast.
This is a whole other podcast.
We're at an hour and a half. We haven't even heard any rumors.
I know, and there's a lot.
We're going to make these quick, though.
Yeah.
Because, it's getting close to my bedtime, too.
Yeah, I know. All right, so really quick. Siemens is ending their sponsorship of Spaceship Earth and Illuminations. It was coming to the end of their contract, and they decided to end it. It's interesting because there was also a rumor out there that Siemens had offered Disney new monorails for free in exchange for putting their branding on the trains. That's not confirmed by anybody. That was just a rumor that was floating around. I don't know how they even thought that Disney would say yes to that. I mean, I just can't see Siemens.
I don't think Disney needs the money for any sort of...
Exactly.
Right? It leads itself into this whole discussion that we just had, right? If Disney doesn't need the money anymore for these sponsorships, why would you not want to do something your own way, right?
Exactly.
I mean, even in any of our lives, like, I don't want to be bound by something, so, that to me is whatever.
Well, this is what I find interesting about this. A lot of people are like, okay, well, what does this mean for Illuminations? What does this mean for Spaceship Earth? Because a lot of people thought, okay, Siemens is going to renew, and then they're going to do a new nighttime show. They're going to do a new spaceship. They're going to redo Spaceship Earth again, and kind of what you're saying, like Disney doesn't really need sponsors anymore. And I've noticed they kind of in Epcot have just been dropping sponsors like flies lately, right? Like, so half of Innovations is empty because they just ended those sponsorships, right? Mm-hmm. I almost wonder if it's just purposeful at this point, where they just don't want sponsorships in the park anymore. I don't know.
I would agree with you on that because, I mean, this ties back into what we were talking about a couple episodes ago with, new permits being filed for them redoing Future World and all that, right? Is that the problem with sponsors is that you do have to, like, they don't just give you a blank check and say, go do whatever. You have to kind of get them involved and abide by their wishes and all that, right? So it does mean, and I guess if you want Exhibit A of that, look at Test Track.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at what they have at Test Track. Like, listen, I can go to the dealership and see a new Corvette.
Yeah, it's a car dealership.
I really don't want to see it. I think that area is kind of annoying to me.
And because of that, right, is, it really limits Disney on letting their Imagineers go wild and do what they want to do. And with something like Future World, they need that creative control because it's Future World. It's supposed to be Walt's.
It's got to be stuff that you can't go out there and just see, right? It always used to be like, what does the World's Fair have back in the day, right? It should be something like that, where it's new stuff you don't even know. I mean, it's tough with the internet, but all right, great movie ride. We're just going to make this one quick, Tom, right?
Yeah, so
we're not even going to talk about the ride and how awesome it is.
Well, I'm only bringing it up because we talked about it on a previous podcast about the rumor about it, and so I actually a friend of mine is a cast member, and she's actually a manager, but that's all I'll say. And I brought it up to her, and she basically confirmed to me that the ride's going to close. She, didn't say it specifically, but she said it's going to close. I mean, I kind of said, I heard it's going to close, and she was just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to file this in a rumor so Tom doesn't get in trouble.
I feel good about this. She's a good source. So, what she did tell me is that it's not closing forever. They're just going to reimagine it into something else. That's all.
And that's perfectly fine.
And that's exactly fine.
Like a Marvel great movie ride?
Well, the rumor's been the Great Mickey Ride. That's been the rumor for a while, that they're going to turn it into
That's been the rumor for a while before there was the, Marvel buy, right?
Well,
I don't know. There's not enough Marvel in there. I could see it. That would be interesting, I think.
Well, they're so limited on what they can do with Marvel.
But I thought it was... Yeah, but I mean, there's just certain parts of it they can't do, right? I mean, they can do certain things in Marvel.
Yeah, no one really seems to know, like, what the contract is there. Like, so they've been kind of pushing the limits on it lately, where they've been, like, throwing Guardians of the Galaxy stuff in there. A lot of people think that Guardians is not included with that. So
correct, I would think so, too.
Yeah, and so maybe, but then the rumor is they're going to be doing Guardian stuff either at... it sounds like they're going to be doing it at Epcot. So, yeah, I think Disney would love to do Marvel all over the place. They'd probably make they'd make the mythical Fifth Gate all Marvel if they could. But, Universal doesn't really have any sort of, benefit to just giving that up.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they got a really good deal back in the day. But yeah, so that's really interesting.
I'm more interested in the Brazil added to the World Showcase. I've always thought that Epcot could use another 10 countries. So
yeah, and it does have.
It sets up a total steakhouse, right, or something like that.
There you go.
Brazilian barbecue.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Brazil's perfect, right? Yeah,
I think we're all on board with that.
Exactly. You could do a Brazilian steakhouse, right? Oh, it'd be great. So that's the rumor right now, is that it's going to be Brazil. that is going to be added to the World Showcase. They have pads for a bunch of other countries. Now, it is worth noting that it's been announced by Disney many times that they were going to add countries and then didn't. So,
that is correct.
Although it seems like this is part of all of these Epcot rumors that are going on. The big rumor is basically that it's part of a 5-year plan. That's a phased plan, right? So they're going to do little things at a time. But one of those things is going to be Brazil, and basically it's going to be in the space. If you know where the trains are between Italy and Germany. Mm-hmm. That's where the pad is for it, right behind there. So
love the trains.
Well, from what I've read, they're going to relocate the trains. Like they want to get rid of the trains because I love the trains too. We stop and watch those every single time we're there. So
the next one is because again we're butting up against time. Mm-hmm. The Ratatouille ride. That just makes me mad.
Why?
I don't know why, but this just makes me mad.
Why does that make you mad?
Well, first of all, I think the ride stinks. And only from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Right. I'm getting to the point now where like. Dude, that's the same ride. Like, I just... Why can't I get something a little more thrill-like? Right? Like, why is Rock and Roller Coaster the biggest thrill ride at Disney, right? Like, give me something. I don't know. I feel like you should be able to make new rides. Why do I have to have something that's already out there? That's my feeling, right? I mean, Disney, you got Imagineers that are paying these people millions of dollars. You have licenses out that you know what. And I got to see Ratatouille again? I'll go to France if I want to see that ride.
Well... Yeah, but
we also have no idea what it's going to look like.
I guess the thing is too is so the thing that really draws me to it is that I'm in love with their new trackless ride system. So aside of the fact that it's Ratatouille, is that a lot of other parks around the world have gotten this new technology in their rides. So Ratatouille, Mystic Manor in Tokyo, Disney. Shanghai has it as well. Is that this is like their next step in their ride evolution? And yeah, even though you're right, it's not a roller coaster, it's not a super exciting ride. Is that from a technological standpoint, I love the idea of them being able to manipulate the cars and not being forced to, follow the same track. Like it leads to, I think, like maybe with Ratatouille, they'll switch it up in that. Maybe there was something that they wanted to do in France that France doesn't have, and maybe it'll mean that there'll be some variation to the ride. So, kind of like Tower of Terror has the random drops, right? Is that you'll find that this ride changes every time you ride it.
But the reason that, in my opinion, the randomness of Tower of Terror works is because it's a thrill ride, right? So if I don't have a thrill ride, unless you're going to tell me that it's something more akin to Star Wars where there's different stories, but that doesn't necessarily fit a trackless system, right? Like, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like, why can't I get a thrill ride at Disney? And, when they announce something like this, it makes me feel like, really? Like, there's opportunity in, this area, because maybe you'll say, okay, well, Toy Story, we're not going to release a thrill ride because that's not, the audience we're catering to. But I've always felt like Epcot has been caters a little bit more to adults, and that's why it's a little bit of a disappointment to me, right? Because I think that in a park like that, if you're going to cater to adults, and just give me something more. That's how I feel, though.
Well, I mean, that could also be the argument for why they're doing it, though, too, right? They want to make it more kid friendly.
But you have X amount of parks, right? Like,
yeah.
But I always thought that Epcot wasn't. I mean, it definitely is tuned towards adults with drinking around the world and all that kind of stuff. But I always took it as the educational park. Well,
Ratatouille is not educational, so.
You don't want to know what it's like to be a mouse?
Yeah, no. I think I can envision that myself. I don't know. Like I said, just a little bit of a disappointment factor there. I would have liked to have seen, like Trevor, like what you're saying, I'd rather you take the Ratatouille part out and even give me something a little more, educational. Would have felt like it fit a little bit more. I feel like that was like the last stronghold of, non-kiddie cutesy rides, either by education or by test track, right? And this, I don't know. That's just me, though.
No, I get what you're saying. I totally understand that. The good news for you, though, is there are some pretty strong rumors about them putting some thrill rides also in the World Showcase, too. So that could
be fine.
It could be like more of an all of the above as opposed to just one thing, right? So
maybe you'll get Guardians test track or something.
Yeah.
Guardians Test Track. We already had Test Track 2 iterations, right?
Yeah.
I'm okay
Third
with
time's a
something
charm.
else.
Well, so that does bring up
cars,
another rumor
yeah.
though. Is the putting a Guardians ride where Universe of Energy is, tearing all that down. That is a persistent rumor. There is some talk that it might be
needs to
Tron
go
though
away.
too. What's that?
That needs to go away. I'll take Tron over Guardians of the Galaxy anytime.
I think it's a real strong belief by a lot of people, but I really don't. It doesn't make sense because
Yeah, but did Frozen make sense?
Somewhat.
it makes more sense than Guardians because Guardians is in the Marvel universe, and that would fit more with Hollywood Studios and where that's going. Because
Yeah, but Hollywood Studios is going Star Wars.
Star
I think
Wars,
if you
Toy
have
Story.
Yeah, so if you have your
Yeah.
choice, can they go Star Wars and Marvel, or do you just go Star Wars because it's so big and it doesn't matter, right? I don't know.
Well, it kind of seems like
Interesting.
Hollywood Studios is now going to be about our appreciation of movies as opposed to so it'll be a
so
lot
I'm-
of different movies, right? And the big
Yeah.
rumor too is that they're going to get rid of Rock and Roller Coaster and change it
What?
to okay, hold on.
Well, get rid of Aerosmith.
They're going to get rid of Aerosmith
Why?
from Rock and Roller Coaster
And do what?
Well, so the thought is what they're going to. This has actually been a rumor for a really long time, and actually, my wife and I were just watching like a video of just kind of what Rock and Roller Coaster looks like with the.
See,
lights
this isn't on your list, so this you're bringing up just to make me sad.
Wait, did I not put this on the list? I'm sorry.
No,
So-
just to make me sad.
There's basically a big rumor, and this kind of started last year because some of the Aerosmith merch started getting removed from the stores. The rumor is they're going to change that to a Monsters Inc. ride, and what it's going to be, it's still going to be the roller coaster, the exact same thing. All they're going to do is they're going to retheme it to like the door, that whole door scene from Monsters Inc., where they're going around the door rails.
Yeah, I
See-
guess I'm not too mad about that.
I'd
It'll
be
work.
okay with that.
Perfectly.
It would work.
Yeah,
And honestly, I think
quick
Steve
refurb.
Tyler made them mad.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevor. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, honestly, I think Steve Tyler made them mad when they finally figured out the gesture that he was doing in the video.
I mean, that's probably part of it. I always felt like it was kind of out of place there anyway, because that park was always about making movies, not about making music, right? So
Yeah.
it just felt like always like a weird thing there, and so I feel like if they change,
Wait, the Seas with Nemo's going away?
no, not necessarily. So a lot of this stuff is reimagining more than anything, right? So. Like for me, Rock and Roller Coaster, right? They could change that into Monsters Inc. Like they could change the outside building to look like the Monsters Inc. building.
What does it matter, Tom? You're never going to go on it anyway. Why is Tom even talking about this? It doesn't even matter.
I enjoy the gift
Trevor,
shops
you
at
can't.
the
We're going to
exits of
talk
the
about
rides.
this.
But it seems like it could be one of those things that they could kind of like what they did with Tower of Terror, right? In Disneyland, where they could close it for 6 months and completely redo the inside of it without changing the ride pretty much at all, except for the theming, right? Kind of seems like
Yeah.
that. So, but what was the other thing you just asked me about that you were
I
upset
don't know.
about?
Seas of Nemo is
Oh.
becoming the Marine Life Institute.
Maybe.
No more Nemo.
That's a
But then
rumor.
again, you know what? When it started, it wasn't Nemo anyway.
Yeah, it was the Living Seas, right? And
Yeah.
so I kind of think it's a smart move because it almost makes it more real, right? Because it's like now it's this fictional Marine Life Institute from Finding Dory, and that's kind of what it is on the inside, right? It's like an educational, aquarium, right? So
And I haven't been there in so long that the Seas was always that. It felt like a marine institute to me. So yeah, I'm fine with them pulling Nemo out of there.
yeah, I don't think that's a bad move either. If they were to do it, that one's like a really kind of like shady one as far as rumors go.
Yeah.
As far as some other ones go, really quickly here, so basically they're talking about doing Epcot in a five year phase, right? And so a lot of it is going to be redoing the entire entrance to make it way, newer, more futuristic, and that'll include moving the Leave a Legacy tombstones that are out front there, not getting rid of them, but moving them somewhere.
But the interesting thing is that those are so different than the stones around the transportation center that there's a time frame on those.
I think it was 20 years, right? Was the
where in theory the ones in the travel center are forever. In theory,
yeah. So when you bought the ones there, they were there forever. Yeah,
but they were but because I do have one there, but I just don't. I don't think that they're going to redo them, is what they said, right? So they'll stay until they're gone or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, I remember the ones at Epcot kind of was like, why would I really want that? It's not going to be around forever. Not that anything's ever around forever.
And the pictures that are on them are terrible, too. You can't even see, like, people's faces. They look like ghosts.
They were printed with 1990 technology.
That's exactly right. So I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think it's way due for an upgrade, and I think that's a great thing. And they're also talking about completely demolishing Interventions East and West, completely tearing that down. There's talk that they would add a new multi-level restaurant there, which I actually think would be a good thing for that area. Because we were actually looking for...
With Epcot, why do you need somewhere to eat there?
Well, I feel like the quick service options are not, if you're like in the Future World area, are not always the greatest, right? So you have like...
You have Electric Umbrella.
Yep.
And that's really about it.
Yeah. You can go
but
into
why
the
are you
land.
eating anywhere except somewhere in at a country if you're in Epcot?
Well, I mean, I'm saying if you're just in Future World at that moment, there's not a lot of options outside of...
Well, you better walk your butt over somewhere and,
Well, but,
the country.
maybe the twist on that will be, future food options. Like kind of like how Avatar has all the alien stuff, is maybe there'll be something just completely different there.
Who knows? There's a lot of things that can happen there. But, yeah, and so Mission Space is being updated right now. So no one really knows what that's going to look like, but it was under construction while I was there, and it looked like they were doing stuff to the exterior. It looks like they were working on some things on the outside. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but the rumors there are that they're going to be adding a new video, a new mission, better effects, that kind of thing.
Hopefully make people less sick.
What's that?
I was going to say, hopefully it makes people less sick. I don't know what Trevor said. Yeah, what did you say, Trevor?
I asked if Gary Sinise was still going to be in it.
I hope so, because I was really worried they were going to get rid of...
Wait, so you've done that ride?
Yeah. Well, not the orange side. I'd do the green side. I'm not going to do the spinning. That's crazy.
The orange is the best.
Yeah. I mean, I try to stay off of things that people have died on. But... Well... No, I'm just
okay,
I'm
I won't
kidding.
get into it.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But no, I don't know. That side, I feel like I'd probably get really queasy on.
To be fair, if you don't have a good stomach for that stuff, yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, and I'm assuming they're keeping most of the ride the same. It's maybe just the kind of like, some of the effects maybe will change and things like that. So I who knows though? They haven't told anybody. It's one of those really random things that they did and told no one what they were doing. So, which seems to be kind of the thing they do these days. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But it's going to open back up again, I think, in a couple weeks. I think by the end of July it's open back up again. So I'm sure.
So I'll be there. I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, that's one ride I don't ride though.
I'll send
somebody. Nope, I'll send somebody.
I'll let you both know on the orange side if you don't do it.
Well, I'll make sure I send somebody.
You don't do the green side even?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't do any side of that ride. No, thank you.
I get you. Couple other things in here. By the way, this rumor's coming out, and I want to say that I think I called this on like the first or second podcast that this is going to happen, and that's Journey into Imagination being replaced with Inside Out. But the rumor is that Figment will still have some sort of role in it.
That would be good. I think he fits, so I'm okay.
He does. He's the figment of your imagination, totally. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how does he not fit with the other things?
Was he anywhere in Inside Out? I would have to go back and look.
He is.
He is, yeah.
I mean, it's a really, really tiny... It's like you have to blink and you miss it type of thing. Where, like, I don't remember the exact scene, but there's a stuffed animal of Figment in Inside Out. So they could justify it. And so other things here, Coco, the new movie that's coming out soon here. I believe it's Disney
horrible.
Animation. It's not Pixar, right?
Ugh, looks horrible. What?
That looks horrible? I thought it looks great.
Really?
No.
I
thought the trailer was great.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of it because I like that whole Day of the Dead kind of theme they have going on, and it would fit in the Grand Fiesta Tour because it is part of their culture and everything.
Yeah, it's probably fits better than Three Caballeros does. I mean, because that's basically just a tourism video from Mexico.
That's just Disney's take on it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what that is. So I'm fine with it. You don't think that movie looks good, Damon?
No.
Oh man, I really liked the trailer for that. I was excited about it, but I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah.
So
you're starting to lose me here. We got to finish this up.
All right, we're finishing up. Okay, we got one last topic. So the only other thing we were going to talk about too. And this is kind of what I was alluding to before. No one really knows any details about this, but the good news is we're going to find out soon because D23 is next weekend, and they're going to announce probably most of this. But the thought is that there will be new attractions in the United Kingdom section, Germany, and Japan. Years ago, it was rumored that Japan was going to get like a Matterhorn style like mountain behind it. So that would be your thrill ride, right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how thrilling it is.
Okay, so it would be like Mount Fuji,
Yep.
but what would be the catch?
Yeah, because we have Expedition Everest, so what sort of thing are they going to do?
I don't know.
That would be all. They're very spiritual over there, so
true.
maybe it'd be something with like ghosts or something. I don't know. So like Haunted Mansion meets Matterhorn.
It could be.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, there are apparently unused show buildings that just sit empty behind Germany and Japan that apparently will maybe be used for these rides. So that are just already sitting there. So maybe that'll make it easier. But the exciting thing is there's a lot of cool stuff that is going to be coming to Epcot, and it's due for a reimagining, so to speak. And I'm excited about it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about all this.
It's absolutely due. And I mean, it looks like they're definitely doing these in phases. Like we just finished with Animal Kingdom. Hollywood Studios is underway, and now that Hollywood Studios is getting close to the finish line, yeah, I think you're going to see that big revamp.
You think Hollywood Studios is getting close to the finish line? I think that they're going to have like 10 more Disney areas. Star Wars areas. I think we're just at the beginning of Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Well, but when Star Wars Lands opens in 2019, I mean, that's going to be...
Yeah, I think we're going to get
right?
I think we're going to get more than just that Star Wars wise. I think Star Wars Land will open, and then Star Wars Land will get bigger, and then Star Wars Land will get even bigger.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I would bet it's one of those things where it's going to like open. And from everything I've seen, it seems like they've left some room for expansion for that land. But I feel like it's going to be one of those things where it opens and like they're going to like immediately announce that they're working on an expansion for it already. Like just start working on it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. I'm excited about all this. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited that they're doing so much of the parks and updating them and doing a lot of things. And Epcot, like we said, Epcot was really due for an overhaul. It's been kind of a long time, and Innoventions has been kind of dying slowly in front of our eyes for a while now. So it's not a bad thing. So yeah, I think that's all we got. Unless you guys want to add anything else before we wrap this thing up.
No, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right, Damon, you want to wrap us up?
Sure. So if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Honestly, the best way to get in touch with us is through our Facebook page, though. So you can also come to our website at welcomehomepodcast.com. We always are looking for questions, or, if Tom or Trevor made a mistake, then, feel free to email us or Facebook us and let us know about that as well. Yeah. And as always, as we look to grow, which means if we grow, we get to give you guys more episodes. And at some point, we're going to put together some sort of giveaway. Please like us on Facebook at Welcome Home Podcast, on Twitter at Welcome Home Pod, and on Instagram at Welcome Home Pics. And if you could give us a review on iTunes or any other service that you're listening to the podcast on, that would be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we love that you all listen to us, but the more reviews, the more people get to listen to us. So please review us if you haven't. And also, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. Just a quick update on that. We used to release episodes every Sunday. We are going to start doing them every Monday, or every other Monday, I should say. Not every week yet, so don't get too excited yet. But so every other Monday, we're going to be releasing those instead of Sunday, so just a heads up. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, just about any podcast app you can find. We are out there. Just search for Welcome Home. We'll pop right up. And just a reminder to our listeners too, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions expressed on this show are our own. So please consult your DVC representative, your nearest cast member, call Disney to confirm any of the information we talked about, except for rumors, because you call them up and try to get a rumor address, they're just going to laugh at you. So you can find me on PrinceCharmingVacations.com for all your Disney vacation planning needs. Damon?
bsckids.com for all your Disney show needs.
Great.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. Every time you listen to us, we really, we take it to heart. We love that we have listeners and that you guys listen to us all the time. So we appreciate that. And so join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more Disney Vacation Club talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awald, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no